everybody, and welcome. I am Bricker Boom, and it's time for episode 5 of the comparison series between The Last of Us TV show and the video game. Shouldn't need to be said, but a spoiler alert has been issued from here on forward in regards to both the first and potentially second video game, just kind of depending on what we decide to go ahead and go over. As you know, a few episodes ago, I stopped scripting these things, so this is just whatever pops out of the top of my head. Could be good, could be bad, could be transcendent. But enough chit chat. We're going to go ahead and immediately hop into this episode. Quite a bit to cover, and I want to, again, try to keep it 20 minutes or less. So let's go ahead and go. So, last episode ended with Sam, I believe Sam is the younger one, pointing a gun down at Joel and doing this. And then we're basically starting here. Now, the first thing that I want to, of course, go ahead and point out, very obvious difference, but in the video game, we never got to actually see any type of backstory with this. The most that we know is what we see through notes, the occasional recorder, things like that. So, while it is a difference, the main reason I wanted to point it out is because it is so well done. I love the fact that throughout this series, we're actually getting to see glimpses into these people's lives, what it was like pre-outbreak, or in this case, I'm guessing the outbreak has already started. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I do not believe that Fedra as an organization was something that is ever mentioned pre-outbreak. Now, the main reason that I enjoyed this as much as I did is because they are very clearly changing Sam and Henry's story as to who they were. In the video game, we're just introduced to them, and we have to trust them, they betray that, etc. In this case, we're actually getting to find out a little bit more about them, actually develop feelings for these particular characters, and, I mean, we know what's going to happen by the end of it, but it does actually allow us to want to root for these guys, because we're actually seeing what they went through.
Medicine, alcohol, fucking apples.
So, given the context clues, what it sounds like is that collaborators were people that sold others out to Fedra to essentially receive goods in return, whether it be alcohol, fucking apples, apparently. But that's how we know what type of person that Henry is. He's essentially doing whatever he can to make sure that Sam survives, and that's pretty true to the actual story as well from the video game as we know it. They were very close. They only had each other, and that hasn't changed, mostly.
Is that what he is to you?
Now, here I thought is very important because it does show a side of their relationship that I feel could have been expanded on a little bit more in regards that she is definitely the one in charge, but he still feels comfortable enough in the relationship to say this is a possibility, and she doesn't fly off the handle about it. She just says, no, this is not how we're doing things. He is not that low on my priority list. And I just thought that that was interesting because we've seen in a lot of media, especially apocalyptic style media, that backtalk typically just winds up making you dead sooner. And in this case, she's not doing that. So I did like this. Now, one thing I wanted to point out here that is a huge difference, and I'm sure you are wondering why I haven't brought it up, but you see there, I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen like you can see where I'm pointing to. You see here, Sam is using something that I haven't seen since probably the 90s, but you write on it, you lift it up, and it erases it, essentially. He's using that as his form of communication, because in this version of the media, Sam is deaf. It essentially makes it so he has to rely on Henry even more. I adore this change. I don't know why I love it as much as I do. I think because it just brings the tragic backstory up just a little bit more, but I am totally on board with this change.
You can kill yourself right here. 20 cans.
Now, this is interesting because at this point, this man is saying that the tunnels are a death trap. Later on, Henry is saying that they're clear. And I thought that that was interesting. I'm wondering how much of what he said was actually true, but something worth pointing out. I love this little interaction. Nothing needs to be said. It's just, it's cute. It's a very good scene showing how much Henry values Sam, willing to make sure that he's lugging around a bag of crayons for the kid.
It's been hounding us ever since we got in this damn... Sam, what are you doing? Nothing. Get rid of it. My backpack is practically empty. What's the rule about taking stuff? It weighs like nothing. The rule. What is it? We only take what we have to. That's right. Now, come on.
Again, another very powerful scene. I'm sure that Sam was taking the death a little bit harder because at the end of the day, and I think that we often forget these kinds of things in this form of media, he's just a kid. This is somebody that essentially helped save him, and now he's gone just like that, and it's sad to watch. I love this making him look like a superhero thing so he can feel powerful. There are just so many small things that this particular episode did to show how tight of a bond they have, and I love every moment of it. You know me, I am in love with the more backstory we have, the happier individual I am, and just the fact that they are taking this much time out of the episode. I mean, we're 15 minutes in, we haven't even seen Joel yet. I'm more than okay with that. Because it's just building upon this world. Now, I've seen a little bit of speculation as to if Joel actually saw him. I don't think so, but I liked this because it was less of a they met by chance and more of a I sought you out kind of thing for Sam and Henry rather than just they kind of stumbled on each other. Now, the thing that I am kind of curious about this is that did they go floor by floor until they got to, I think it was like the 32nd floor or something like that, until they started finding evidence that there may be people there? I'm very curious.
That's right.
Alright. I like this because it is showing that even though he's been living through all this, he still has no idea what to do, and I think that's super important. Because it's one of those things that you hear this in all types of medias, that being in the apocalypse changes people, and in this case, not so much. He's still very naive in regards to how these type of things work, and I like that. He's young.
It's a weird fucking tone, man.
That's just the way he sounds, yes.
Can't confirm. And that's the thing, I'm not sure if it's just Pedro and, like, just the way he sounds, or if he is putting on a Joel voice, because I don't watch him too much. I wasn't into Game of Thrones. Go ahead and cancel me now. But he does kind of have an asshole voice in this.
Everything is great.
Dude.
I love it. I love it, because it's one of those things that Ellie, perfect. Joel, perfect. It's a very well written and well acted scene, I think.
Welcome to Killer City.
Now, one thing that I wanted to point out in this particular instance is in the video game, everything, their escape, all the planning, everything happens at night. In this case, it's going on through the broad daylight. Once again, I'm sure it's because trying to film in the dark and everything else is a pain, but I did want to at least go ahead and point it out. I did skip most of their discussion from beforehand because it is just getting to know the characters. Didn't seem like super important. So just moving on.
Haven't heard that in a long time.
That is something that is pulled from the game, that particular quote. But I like this because it is showing Ellie immediately being able to hit it off with Henry or Sam. I like this just simply due to the fact that it makes it that much more heartbreaking when nothing bad happens, because why would we have something sad happen in this?
No, but they do have maintenance tunnels.
The amount of detail that's been pulled into this, by the way, is absolutely incredible. I really enjoy all the work that they put in, and the fact that they are, even Joel is remaining very patient with this kid while he writes things down, and I like that.
Told me that it's clean, completely clean.
I like this simply just due to the fact that it has the perfect setup. This guy is probably full of it, but we have to listen to him. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out in the game trying to clear through this part, it seemed as if the soldiers were a little bit more put together. In this, it does seem a little bit more haphazard, and again, I'm sure it's because of the finale that's coming up. All the budget for this episode went into that, but I didn't feel a sense of dread as they were going through the city. It was just more of a, okay, they're running through empty city streets. Great job.
We've been down here 2 seconds. We don't know anything.
Again, just showing the difference in experience between the two of them. Now, those who have played the video game will remember this place and its backstory. If you remember the video game, you know this. Now, I could be wrong, because it has been a little while since I played the game, but if I remember right, somebody got infected, they had to lock themselves up, and then eventually they ended up having to shoot all the kids that they were with and themselves. It has been a little bit since I've played the game, but I believe that's the story here. At the very least, I do remember the name Ish on the notes that you find. Highly recommend going through this particular section in the video game if you get the opportunity.
My plan worked.
Famous last words. I like this. Mostly because this part in the game upset me so many times, and if they hadn't included it, I would have been big upset. I don't know why he thought that was going to be a good idea.
Dark and he has shit aim. Nobody's gonna kill me.
Then he's gonna kill us.
Honestly, yes, in this, he has very bad aim. In the game, ridiculous. So I like the fact that they are trying to ramp up the disparity, and also, you'll notice through this, doesn't reload once, so that part stayed true to the game as well. Now, in this instance, it was a solo working on trying to shoot them. In the game through this portion, there were more people there at the time. We do obviously find out that he's part of the organization that they just left, but something that I thought was worth pointing out.
Please don't do it.
I love this scene because it's one of those things. Joel knows that he's made up his mind, but Joel hasn't lost so much of his humanity. He's gonna murder this person. I feel like this, especially since he's met Ellie, he already starts going through some character change, and the fact that he's been losing so many people, I think, is making him change even more. And I like the development that he's been receiving. This damn truck causes so much grief in the game. Because you can't have a zombie apocalypse without explosions. This part is horrifying. I can't even begin to count that high as to how many zombies were infected that we see running out of this hole, it is horrifying. Now, this scene in particular is why I don't think that they did too much in regards to them sneaking through the town, because I do feel like a majority of the budget was used for this particular scene, because there is so much that's actually going on. That is incredible. I got chills when I saw this. The video game made these things look great. This makes it actually look a little bit better. I am astounded by the art that they put into this and the prosthetics. It's mwah, chef's kiss. Cannot say enough positive things about this. Now, hopefully I don't get dinged for showing that because it is kind of in the background, but in case you weren't aware, if you ran and got in contact with these guys, that's how they killed you in the video game. So I like the fact that they played a little homage to that. I thought that was really well done. Now, this is the first time that we ever see a child clicker. And I'm wondering, part of me is curious because we do see that it kind of affects Joel. I'm wondering if it's because he's scared for Ellie because he knows that he can't quite get it. Or, and this seems like the more likely option, is that it's a child, and in everything he's done, he probably hasn't had to kill children.
Never.
I like this because it's them. This part did come from the video game, is that Sam was essentially curious as to if the people that are infected are still who they are. Now, one thing that I do not like about this particular scene is the fact that Ellie cuts her hand open to say, yeah, my blood has healing properties. I didn't like that personally. It didn't seem too in character, but maybe that's just me. This part I thought was very sweet. To a degree, he's young. Let's be honest here. He is very young, but to a degree, I think he knew that what she was saying was not going to work. I think he knew he was going to die. This whole interaction, I'm not going to cover it too much. It is essentially shot for shot how it was in the video game. I know I said I wouldn't cover it too much, but I love this part for a completely different reason than I love those scenes. Just the disbelief and the reality setting in of what he's done is just, they did so well with this scene. I love it so much. Ellie knows. I think that this was kind of taking away that last little bit of innocence that Ellie may have had, because as this is starting, or as this is ending, this particular episode, she does seem more hardened than she would, and it's obvious why she would. I mean, this is something that she's likely never dealt with before, and it's heart-wrenching to see. I do like the fact that they took time out of this episode and in this particular version to dig graves for them. It wasn't really said if it happened in the video game, but I have to imagine that they probably just left. And that's the end of this episode's comparison. But not wanting to end on a somber note, I appreciate y'all being here. The YouTube channel has been seeing quite a bit of growth. We are starting to get some more subscribers. We're ever closer to breaching that 200 subscriber mark. So I'm hoping that a lot of things are going to be happening with this channel here soon. My goal for the end of the year was I want to say 250, but now I'm beginning to think that I may have set the bar a little bit too low. I now know a lot more than I did a year ago. So, as always, if you like the video, even if you didn't like the video, think about hitting that like and subscribe button, because it really does help me out. Comment below, you know the drill. And until next time, everybody, peace out.